Very good, very good. Merci beaucoup de prendre quelques minutes aujourd'hui. Puis encore une fois, bienvenue au CF Montréal.
Merci.
On y va d'une première question. Jean-François Théodonio de la presse.
Salut Alistair, ça va bien?
Oui, très bien. Et toi?
Oui, super, merci. Écoute, j'ai deux questions pour toi. En premier, on a entendu dire que tu étais très content de ce transfert-là à Montréal. Qu'est-ce qui t'intéresse dans le projet de Wilfried Nancy? Comment tu penses que ça va se passer pour toi à Montréal déjà?
C'était un projet que j'ai vu la saison dernière et quand j'ai voir l'équipe, je pense que c'est une équipe qui a beaucoup de promesses. Il y a beaucoup de joueurs qui est très jeunes aussi et les jeunes Canadiens aussi. C'est une très grande chose et très bonne chose pour notre pays. Et j'aime regarder quand ils jouent. Je pense que il joue un très bel style, si ça c'est le mot pour ça. I'll go to English for just a little bit here, but I think they play a very beautiful style, and they're one of my favorite teams to watch actually last year. And even when we played them with Nashville, even though we actually had some decent results with Nashville against Montreal, I thought they were one of the more difficult teams to play. I think they have really good personnel, and they're very young, as I was saying, and Canadian, which I think is really exciting. Being a Canadian player to be a part of that project, and I think that they're only going to grow and get better. And I'm just très excité to be a part of that. So I think that I can help the team, and I'm really excited to get going.
Et pour ma deuxième question, je te porte un peu, je sais qu'on commence la conférence de presse et tu viens juste d'arriver à Montréal, mais si on se porte un peu vers l'avenir, est-ce que tu vois les prochaines années à Montréal comme un tremplin peut-être pour d'autres opportunités en Europe ou pour l'instant, tu es concentré sur ce que tu veux faire à Montréal?
Pour moi, je dois seulement focuser sur Montréal. Ça, c'est mon premier focus. Je sais que dans la MLS, si tu joues très bon pour année après année, tu as les opportunités pour jouer dans l'Europe et ça c'est pour moi une de mes aspirations. Mais à ce moment, c'est seulement sur cette saison, Montréal paye beaucoup de l'argent pour moi et ça c'est très important pour moi. So just in English again, it's a big honor to be, to see the amount of value and how much money they're willing to spend to go get me. So for me, my sole focus is Montreal. We'll see what happens in the future. Hopefully we'll have a really good year this year. I know with missing the playoffs, that was a big disappointment for Montreal. Came down to kind of those last two games, which was a bit of a bummer. And I know that what I want to bring to this team is to make a deep playoff run. I think that's something that everyone wants in Montreal. I know it's a really big fan base and a really intense fan base too, from what I've seen on Twitter and social media. Lots and lots of love, but I also understand that if it goes sour and it goes south, it can get pretty heated as well, and you gotta enjoy that pressure. So for me right now, the focus is just on Montreal, getting us back to where this club belongs. It's a really famous club. It's a club with great tradition and history. So it's going to be about focusing on making a deep run in the Champions League and also in the MLS playoffs, and hopefully that will culminate the year with Canada being the World Cup as well, and that would be a great 2022 for myself. And then we'll see from there. I have a 4-year contract, and I expect to be here for multiple years.
Bravo et merci pour ton effort en français, mais c'est bien de continuer en anglais si c'est plus facile pour toi. Gavino De Falco.
Merci beaucoup, Pat. Hi, Alistair. Premièrement, félicitations pour ton français. C'est impeccable. Alistair, I just want to know, were you aware that you were on the trading block this winter? And how did you react when you found out that you were traded because you had a very good season with Nashville? And were you in shock? Were you surprised that you were traded? Thank you.
J'ai appris que j'allais me rendre à Montréal, je pense. Ma première réaction était d'être tout à fait enthousiaste. C'est une bonne chose pour moi. Je pense que jouer chez moi, dans mon pays. It was something that I wanted to do, and I was definitely excited by. I didn't know that I was on the shopping block, and I don't think from the conversations that I've had with my agents and just people around, it didn't really sound like I was being shopped around. It was more the fact that Montreal came in and were very persuasive, and put in a lot of multiple big offers, and it got to the point where Nashville couldn't refuse. So again, that goes to show how much appreciation I have for Montreal. They really went out and they showed that they wanted me, and they showed that, you know, I was their main target this offseason, and they went and got it done. So that puts a lot of faith into myself and excitement into myself that there's a club out there that wanted you that bad and really thought that highly of you. So that you know, really enticed me and had me really excited for this season.
Neil Davidson.
Hey Neil,
Thank
how's it
you.
going?
Hi, Alistair. Welcome back to Canada. Good to have you.
Thank you.
I was just wondering, I don't know if you've had any time to look back, but 2021 has been a pretty crazy year for you, not just this move, but obviously your introduction and becoming a fixture in the Canadian back line. Has it been a bit of a whirlwind year for you?
Yeah, I think whirlwind would be to put it lightly. It's been a crazy one. I know my dad's the biggest fan. I think he Googles my name every day and tells me some interesting article or some stat about me. I'm like, you got to stop doing that. But one of the ones he always brings up is like, man, you played a lot of matches this year. You know, I look back at it now, and I did do the math. I think I played 18 times for Canada, considering last January was my first time going into a Canadian national team camp. So to get 18 caps under my belt, I mean, I keep that pace up, I'll be catching up on Atiba pretty shortly. So, you know, it was a crazy year. I just wish that with Nashville, we'd gone a little bit further. You know, we kind of got stuck at that same hurdle as the previous year. So hopefully now in Montreal, I'll kind of be able to inspire and have a little bit more, you know, as a lot of people say, you know, playoff experience is really important. So hopefully I'll be able to bring that to this team as well. Because I know there's a lot of guys here that have been in the league a long time and gone a long way in the MLS. But, you know, it's difficult to win that final trophy. So hopefully, you know, 2022 will bring that, because 2021 was a whirlwind. But hopefully 2022 will be even better. You know, it'd be great to end it with a big run, as I said earlier, in the MLS Cup. And then hopefully we can get ourselves to Qatar as well and have a great World Cup to end off the calendar year.
Prochaine question, Benoît Rioux.
Alors, Alistair, à mon tour de te féliciter pour ton français. Je sais que tu as habité dans la ville ou dans la région de Montréal, mais tu avais comme de 4 à 7 ans. Est-ce que tu as des souvenirs de ça? Puis est-ce que tu as encore de la famille, mettons, dans la région de Montréal?
Ouais, j'ai vécu à Montréal pendant 3 ans quand j'étais plus jeune. Et j'ai commencé à jouer au foot organisé ici à Lakeshore. Pour cette raison, it's kind of full circle. It comes back. J'ai commencé à Montréal et maintenant je vais à Montréal encore. So really excited for that. My family is super excited. I don't actually have any family members that live out in Montreal, but lots of family friends from when I grew up out there. And my first memories of playing soccer were from Montreal and Lakeshore Soccer Club. So it is kind of funny, and it's a small world like that. And my parents are super excited, especially with, you know, being still in a pandemic, and hopefully Omicron it passes sooner than later, but it was difficult for my parents to come down and watch me play in Nashville. And also, especially, I only had a couple games up in Canada over the past 2 years. So it'll be a lot easier for them to come to the games. And I know they'll be extra excited wearing blue going to a game when we're in Toronto. I know they'll be really excited to wear a nice blue Montreal jersey and see the backlash they get there. So overall, just really excited to be in Montreal. My family is too, and looking forward to getting up there.
Adi Raphaël.
Merci, Pat. Bonjour, Alistair. Bravo pour le français.
Cool.
Je vais poser la question en anglais, par contre. You're coming to Montreal with a different status this year. In Nashville, you were the rookie that, got his place and everything. Now here, you're expected to show the way, be a leader in the back. How do you think you were going to cope with that pressure? Because it's a different ball game now.
It's 100% that, when I was down in Nashville, if I made a mistake, everyone would kind of point to, he's still a rookie. He's still one of the young guys. He's on the reserve minimum. There's a lot of the ones brought up, you can't really get after him for making a mistake. He's just out of college. But now I go into this, I'm a Canadian international, big transfer fee to come get me. So it's one of those ones, the pressure comes up, but I think as a football player, that's something you enjoy. You want the pressure to be there. And I know a lot of the leadership already on this team. Sam Piet's one of my really good friends on the Canadian national team. And he's been great. And I know that he's a great leader with Canada. And he's also been great with, when I've been at Canada too, is letting me have a voice and showing me kind of the ropes on how to lead properly. So I'm looking forward to having a bigger role. And I want to come in there and really help take this team to that next level. And I know it's a young team compared to my Nashville team. At Nashville, I was the second youngest player or the youngest starter pretty much every game. While here, I look at that back line and I'm potentially, one of the old guys. And I still can't even grow a beard yet. And I'm one of the oldest guys. So it's kind of funny like that. But it's good as well. I have a really good relationship with Kamal Miller. I bet you guys already know, but we played growing up together. He was I played as a six, as a holding midfielder. He was my center back all throughout high school. And when I came back during the summers to play. So I've known him for a really long time. We have a great relationship. James Bantamis, we have a great relationship too. He's a great guy. And obviously Sammy. So I'm excited to get in there. I'm excited to have a bigger role. I think that was another thing that intrigued me about coming to Montreal, was, having a bigger role and putting a little more pressure on myself to, really take my game to that next level. So yeah, those are kind of the big points.
Next question, Patiki.
Hi, Alistair. Welcome to Montreal. Just wanted to ask you a little bit about your game. Can you describe your game style and how you expect to play here in Montreal?
I think it'll be very similar to how I play with the Canadian national team. I played a couple different roles now with Nashville. I played a bit more as a true right back, a bit more of a defensive right back. But with Canada, you guys have probably seen me play as a right wing back, but mainly as a right side center back in a back three. So I'm really flexible, really comfortable in any of those spots. And I'm a hard-nosed defender. I'm a bit of definitely got a hockey background in me. I think everyone will see that pretty quickly. I'm a competitor. I love to get into it with guys. And that's something that I kind of feed off, is that energy. But at the same time, I grew up being a central midfielder. So for me and Kamal, we grew up as pass first center backs. And I think that's something that I'll try and bring to the right side, which whenever I watched Montreal last year, Kamal did a great job of building up the back and playing those left-footed entry balls. I'm going to try and bring the same thing and a little bit more potentially dribbling forward. Maybe I'll have a bit more license like I do with Canada to really go forward. But pretty much what I am, I'm a hard-nosed defender. Love to get physical. I love a tackle. Those are kind of the things that get me going the most. And I'll leave it all out there. Those are kind of my main characteristics, I'd say.
Encore quelques mains levées. On va prendre 3-4 dernières questions. Moses, we'll do. Next question.
Thank you, Pat. And hello to you, Alistair. Certainly an exciting time. It sounds like you're definitely excited to come to Montreal. You did touch on this a little bit, and I wanted to ask you this question about Kamal as well as Sam. Guys are on the national team that you've been able to play. It sounds like a deeper connection with Kamal as well, all the way to high school. But just talk to me about what you've seen from them as both teammates, friends, opponents, whether you're with Nashville, as well as what are some of the things that really intrigue you about CF Montreal that make you say this team can do some great things in 2022?
Okay, I'll start with the Montreal part. I think, just looking at the project from afar, it was one of those ones, being a Canadian especially, that I looked at and went, these guys have serious promise. I think they got a great young core and great leadership around them. I think Kyoto, Piet, like that, Wanyama are just top players and top professionals. And they can really nurture that younger group. And I think going into the second year under Wilfred will only get better. So I think they were a really promising team when I was watching them last year. I thought they had all the pieces. You know, they were just missing that little bit of potentially ruthlessness that comes with a bit of experience. But I think now with everyone having an extra year under their belt of playing the system, everyone's going to be a little more confident and comfortable with the system. So that's just from an outsider looking in. So it'll be interesting to get in the building and see kind of how it is. And then with Sammy and Kamal, I mean, just the best part is they're top guys off the field too. You know, Sammy is just the epitome of a Canadian leader. He's everything that you'd want in a captain. Just leads everything by a great example. Is a top guy on and off the field. He was probably the most excited one when I told him I broke him the news that I was going to be coming. I tried to give him a little heads up before, and he was so excited. He was telling me everything, where to live and all of that. So it was really cool to get that kind of reaction from him. And obviously with Kamal, I've just known him forever. We have a great relationship and a great understanding on and off the field of what we want from each other. And I think as well, you know, going through everything that we've been through high school, I got to see him. He's a year older than me. So I got to see him get recruited to college, and it kind of set the tone like, all right, everyone, I want to be like Kamal. And then obviously seeing him get drafted, it was, I want to be like Kamal again. It's always kind of been like that, seeing him get into the national team. So Kamal's always just been a great role model for me in that aspect, that he's always just been, you know, that 1 year older than me, and he's reached every single goal that he's wanted to, and it's kind of pushed me to try and be like him. So he's just a great player and a great human being as well. So I'm really looking forward to just being a part of this group full time, because whenever we are on national team duty, we all have such a good time. You know, all the Canadian guys, we really enjoy being around each other. So, you know, getting that a bit more full time would be a good time as well.
Michel Lamarche.
Merci, Patrick. Salut, Alistair. Bravo pour ton français, moi aussi. I'll ask the question in English, however. You spent more time in the Toronto area than in the Montreal area. So how do you see the rivalry in Montreal-Toronto, and how do you feel about this situation you're in, and the fact that you live in both areas for a little bit of time? Can you describe how you feel about that?
Yeah, of course. So growing up I've lived actually in all three major cities. So I've lived in Vancouver, Montreal, and Toronto. So I have a little bit of connection to all the MLS teams to a degree. But, you know, growing up in the greater Toronto area, Toronto Academy had always overlooked me. They always said I was too small. So to be honest, I never was the biggest Toronto fan growing up, as weird as that sounds, growing up in the area. So I bet the Montreal fans would like to hear that. So I'll have no problems going up against them. And I love the rivalry. I think it's great for the sport. And that was something I think we missed a little bit when I was in Nashville, is that, you know, our rivals were Atlanta, but it was tough with COVID. The fans weren't able to travel. But this is a true full-on Canadian rivalry, and I'm really excited to be a part of that. You know, talking to Richard LeRae and a couple of the guys on the Toronto team, you know, they were hoping I was going to go to Toronto if a trade was going to happen. And when they learned that I wasn't, it was instantly, okay, you know, we're going to be enemies, but friends off the field, but enemies on it. So I'm excited to be a part of that. And, you know, especially with everyone knows the rumors that the players that Toronto have been linked with. And for me, that's a great sign. You know, you want the best players coming in this league. You want the best players coming into this rivalry. And I think it'll bring out the best of both teams. So, just really excited to be a part of that, and really excited to be on the blue side of it as well.
Une autre question de Gavino de Falco.
Thank you, Pat. Hi, Alistair. Alistair, I just want to know, have you spoke to John Erdman lately? Because there's a game coming up against Guatemala the 22nd of January. I guess that you're going to take part of this game. Do you know when the training camp for MLS players is going to start for Team Canada? And the other question, do you think that you're going to have enough a minute in your legs to play those 3 games in the winter window? Thank you.
Great question. I believe the Canadian one is pretty much starting around the same time as Montreal, you know, just around January 10th mark. So it's not far away now. For me, I kind of pride myself on being one of the fitter guys, and playing so many minutes as I did in the past year with Canada, is that I've taken that responsibility on myself. Me, Richie Larea, Kamal Miller, we know that, yes, we're out of season, but at the same time is that we want to be guys that John counts on, and we'll be ready to go. So for us, I've been staying fit. I've been doing all my work, trying to be as ready as possible for that, and also for the Champions League game that we got coming up midway through February. So there's a lot coming up. So, trying to stay fit, trying to be at peak shape is exactly where we want to be, because we're so close now to Qatar, but still nothing's done until it's finalized. So we know we have a lot of work to do, and we don't want to give it up now. So yeah, that's kind of the plan. I've talked to John a bit. He's excited about me coming to Montreal. He was happy for me to be home. And I think for him, he's also just excited about the fact that me and Kamal are going to get to play together, me, Sammy as well, and be a part of a kind of a more, to a degree, a Canadian backline, a Canadian team that I'll be able to build some more chemistry with those guys, and play that position that John sees me with Canada, while with Nashville, I'd be as a right back, more likely here. Hopefully I'll be a right side center back or a right wing back, two spots that John sees me and uses me in with the Canadian national team.
Benoît Rioux, à nouveau.
Oui, question bien simple. Je me demandais où as-tu appris le français, puis où surtout as-tu pu pratiquer le français pour garder la langue française aussi bien?
Quand j'étais ici au Toronto, mes parents forcément aller à l'école de France à Muson. Je pense que ça c'est le mot, je ne sais pas, mais pour l'année après quatrième année de l'école, je pense que j'ai fini et je dois aller à une école d'anglais. Mais pour moi, mon français n'est pas où je veux qu'il va être à ce moment, mais je pense qu'après quelques mois de parler avec les autres sur l'équipe et juste habiter dans Montréal, je pense que mon français va être plus bien que ça est maintenant. Mais that's what I'm hoping, So I just want to immerse myself in it. But yes, I went to French immersion for a couple years when I first got here to Aurora, which was really good. But unfortunately, it's tailed off. It was at my peak French was when I was 7 years old. Unfortunately, it's gotten worse since. But hopefully, by speaking to Sammy and all those guys, I'll tell you what, when I do go to Canadian national team and I sit down with Crepeau, Pantemis, Piet, I tell them speak French only, and I just listen. So I feel like my listening skills are pretty good. But when I'm speaking, I miss vocabulary. They're just words that I can't find in my brain, which is really frustrating. But when I have conversation with them, I pick up on so much. Even just after a week of it, I'm like, oh my goodness, my French is so much better. So hopefully after a couple months, we'll do a meeting like this again, an interview like this again in a couple months, and I'll be hosting it in fully French. That'd be great.
Deux dernières, Jean-François Théotonio.
Salut Alistair, encore moi. Je joins la voix à mes collègues pour te féliciter pour ton français. Tantôt, tu as dit que Samuel Piet t'avait mentionné quelques endroits où tu avais suggéré des endroits où vivre à Montréal ou de suggérer des spots à Montréal. Qu'est-ce qui t'a suggéré rapidement sur Montréal?
Il a dit que tous les joueurs qui sont plus jeunes comme moi habitaient dans le downtown ou Old Port, Ville-Marie. Et ça, c'est beaucoup de locations que j'ai vues. Mais quand j'ai visité la semaine prochaine, je vais regarder tous les vies et make a decision, I guess you could say, of where I want to live. But he said mainly the young guys are downtown, they like to be down there, and the older guys like Sammy, once you have a kid and stuff, you move out a little bit further, maybe the West Isle or something like that. So that's the plan right now, is to find a spot. Kamal already sent me where he lives, so I'm looking at some different spots, but excited to get up there and see all of them because it looks like some beautiful buildings, and I love the city of Montreal. Whenever we go visit, it's one of my favorite spots.
And the last one, Neil again.
Thank you, Patrick. Alistair, you signed a new contract with Montreal, which presumably rewards you for the expanded role you've shown. You're on a modest, I guess, entry-level contract in Nashville. Was compensation an issue with Nashville, if I may ask? Was there any talks about changing your contract?
There had been discussions, but at the same time, it was nice, playing with the Canadian national team. They also subsidized me a lot for the amount of games that I played with them. So money wasn't a huge issue for me. fit was a big one, and also just kind of the plan where they wanted to see me in the future. But of course, money does talk, and you know, with Montreal paying $1 million and then, you know, giving me an improved contract, it was definitely something that I looked at and went, wow, this is a team that really values me. And I think that was something as a player, you want to feel valued. It's a much, the money is as much about that as it is anything else, is that you want to be somewhere where you feel like you're wanted. And I always felt wanted in Nashville. It just felt like Montreal was willing to move mountains and, you know, move anything possible to come and get me. And that was something that really stuck out to me, and really, you know, got me excited about this potential move. And, you know, ended up with me kind of really wanting it to happen when I heard it was on the final stages. So that was kind of the deal with that, you know.
Voilà, c'était la dernière question. Merci beaucoup pour ton temps, Alistair. Puis on se revoit en 2022.
Merci, merci.
Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup aussi tout le monde d'avoir été là. Happy New Year. Bonne année tout le monde. On se retrouve l'année prochaine. Merci.